everyone. Really nice to meet you all. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today. Before I start, quick show of hands. How many developers in the audience today? Okay, a lot. How many of you have never used a blockchain before? Okay, we have one. Okay, great. How many of you have never used Core before? Okay, a few. We can work on that. There's a Core store down. And how many of you have interacted with 5+ different wallets, 15 different dApps, and 10 different chains so far in your blockchain career? Okay, awesome. So I think I'll have something relevant for all of you all. Without much ado, let's get into it. So today, I'll be chatting a little bit about the challenges that we see in Web3 today, and then talk about what Core has done and what Core is, essentially, and how we're kind of going on this journey. And lastly, I would like to leave you all with 3 key things that are part of Core's vision that we're actively working on and our focus areas in the future. So not to start on a bad note, but Web3 today is the wild, wild west. It's extremely broken, it's extremely fragmented, and it's extremely frustrating, intimidating, and clunky, right? We have multiple chains, we have L1s, we have L2s, yeah, now we even have L3s. We have multiple types of VMs. There's the EVM, the non-EVM, the move VM. There are different asset types. There are different storage devices across wallets, ledgers, exchanges. I mean, I'm getting tired just talking about it with you guys, right? It's just so many words. And it's just hard to know what tool to use. So not only are the solutions fragmented, but each tool provides a different experience. None of them are actually cohesive and unified. Let's chat a little bit about the challenges that we actually need to overcome in the industry. I break these challenges into 3 main areas. The first one is UX and utility. I talked a little bit about scattered tooling. There are 50+ wallets out there. Those wallets are often clunky, and they don't actually solve for what users have been craving for. Again, onboarding is super clunky, and let's say that there's a lack of education. People still are worried about what to do when they get on chain, or what do you use the chain for? Like, what's the use case? I often hear that, right? The second thing is security and trust. And we see a lot of projects being launched today, a lot of protocols being launched where there's not enough due diligence done. Plus, there are a lot of bad actors. We saw this in 2022 where a lot of folks basically came down because of Celsius, Voyager, FTX, so on and so forth. So essentially, there are some security concerns that we actually have to deal with, and there are centralized entities that exist today. Lastly, the industry is still nascent. Crypto and digital assets is a nascent asset class, and we're all working on it. While, of course, Bitcoin has gained traction and institutional adoption, and there's an ETF on the Bitcoin and Ethereum side, of course, there's a long tail of assets that really aren't truly supported well. There's a lot of market volatility because it's nascent, and there's a lack of clear policy and compliance guidelines in different geographies. So that's why we built Core. So this is Core. Core is a command center for Web3 portfolio management. It's a non-custodial browser extension, mobile wallet, as well as a web portfolio to allow us seamless interactions on Avalanche and beyond. And it's basically built to give Web3 users a superior experience when engaging on chain, on Avalanche and Bitcoin and EVMs and so on and so forth. Web3 browser extensions and wallets have historically been weighed down by cumbersome and fragmented experiences that I just talked about across applications, and that's just been the biggest obstacle for Web3 mass adoption. Core addresses this. Core is multi-chain, it's multi-asset, and multi-device. All the functionality a Web3 user really needs, which is buying, staking, swapping, sending money, bridging from one chain to another, making sure it's interoperable, it's all in one unified command center. Additionally, you can even find all your projects there that we manage on the Discover section on Avalanche as well as other chains. And this is essentially why we built Core, right? To solve some of the problems and challenges that I had just articulated. Core was built in mind to actually solve exactly these user problems that I spoke about. So how is Core doing? Since my last keynote last year, we've seen amazing growth and product adoption. So our growth has been 10x. We see over 300,000 active users. And I must say, it's a big shout out to the entire team behind me. A lot of them could not be here, but I do want to call out that the folks have been working extremely hard. So thank you in case you're all listening. I also want to call out that this 300,000 is just the folks who opted in. A lot of folks who come on chain, they don't actually opt in. They don't sign in to analytics. So the number is actually a lot larger. But we like to keep that ethos of privacy, anonymity, and transparency. I do want to also call out that with the product suite, we've seen immense growth and adoption, but what I'm most proud of is retention. Users and the community, you guys who are here supporting us, tell us all the time that you love it and you're sticky on the product. Okay, so let's rewind. The team has been busy. Let's quickly rewind and see what we've been doing in 2024 so far. Core went open source. Yes, you're right. You guys asked, we delivered. And this has been a top priority for Core ever since the start, right? Over time, Core went off beta, and Core's product offerings have matured. This is obviously because of the fact that we've seen significant growth and adoption. It's also been our mission to do whatever is best for the developer community, for the ecosystem, and share the same values around trust, security, and comfort. So you developers out there who want a fork core, right, who want a wallet, who want an extension, they can just come in, see the source code, feel extremely comfortable when you're actually interacting with it, and build out whatever you want on this composable code that already exists today. The second thing I want to call out, everyone's favorite topic, I see a few folks already smiling because they were part of an airdrop yesterday, is Core launched the first of its kind native airdrop tool. What is an airdrop tool? Well, I don't think I need to explain that, but I will say an airdrop tool is something that is actively used by the Avalanche Foundation as well as others to reward active users and loyal users in the community. We've seen immense adoption of this as well. I think over 100 plus airdrops have been executed, and we're super proud of using this tool. So kudos to the BD team, kudos to the data platform team who actually just wrangled together to build this so quickly, and that's the culture that we actually exhibit. If you're in the crowd, thank you. The third thing I want to talk about was kind of solving the pain points that I mentioned earlier, right? Onboarding. Onboarding being a pain in the bee, right? So we have hassle-free onboarding, and this is where we basically kissed seed phrase goodbye and enabled seedless sign-on. So we partnered with Cubist. They may be in the crowd today, but they're also downstairs to actually abstract your accounts. And this is actually super important because user registration, login and recovery, onboarding improvements was really important to drive mass adoption. We didn't actually have the capabilities of user freedom and choice, self-custody, and making sure that we bring in mass adoption, but also keep the ethos of Web3, where you actually own your own assets and strive towards self-custody. We enable this with just a few clicks, where you come to Core, you sign up with your Web2 SSO, or social sign-on, with either Google or Apple, and with a few clicks, you're on chain. But the private keys are held by you. So you have full control. Tomorrow, if you want to move and you want to go anywhere else in another jurisdiction, your assets are totally in your control. And we enable this through secure key management in hardware security modules in secure enclaves paired with email recovery. And this takes me to the point around firmly believing that in order to drive mass adoption, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here, right? We simply need to build upon the strength of Web2 Rails. And Core has morphed the Web2 world into the world of Web3. Let's chat a little bit about how Core added support for other ecosystems, right? We added support, a multi-chain experience at your fingertips in the form of an in-app browser inside your mobile app. We support Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, Polygon, a bunch of different L2s, which we can chat about later. But users basically get to enjoy the ability to track all your balances, your DeFi positions, or your ERC20 tokens seamlessly across all networks in one place. And this reduces basically asset, chain, tooling fragmentation right here, right, for the end user, which is exactly what we want to solve for. Core also leveled up its security while shielding its users from scams, so Web3 users can feel safe when they're on chain. We partnered with Blockade to do this. I'm sure there are some of you from Blockade in the crowd too, where we provide clear, intuitive user interfaces, letting users know that, hey, this transaction may have been involved with some sort of malicious smart contract, or we monitor the dApps and call different APIs behind the scenes to make sure users know clearly in a human-readable way that even though you're on chain, this might be a scam transaction. And Core users have been super happy about this, right? We've saved $10+ million in 2024 alone, and we're actually seeing mass adoption on a lot of the users that are growing. So this number is only growing. Okay, well, I do want to talk about what we're doing moving forward. But if you don't know where you're coming from, you really don't know where you're going. So let's chat a little bit about the vision. The first thing I want to chat about is interoperability across Avalanche L1s. Now, this is a very apt moment. As you know, a lot of you are here, a lot of developers here. We're in the midst of one of the biggest upgrades in Avalanche history, right? It's never been easier or cheaper to launch your custom L1 blockchain that's interoperable across other L1s. And yes, I say L1s. We're talking about so many technology upgrades that people are losing track of what we're doing, whether it's ICTT or ICM or ACP77. This is all available at your fingertips today. However, all these need a seamless front-end interface that welcomes these users with open arms. It gives them a warm invitation to actually use this technology. And that's where Core plays a really important and fundamental role in making sure this technology is accessible. So Core allows users to immediately and seamlessly interact with these new L1s via a mobile wallet, via a browser extension, as well as a web application. And this is part of something we're actually actively building with some folks in the audience, but also have a lot of these available in testnet and Fuji today. The Avalanche 9000 rollout benefits builders as well as users alike, right? On Core, users can interact with new Avalanche L1s from creation itself. So let's say a builder comes here, launches their own L1. It's automatically available through automation in Core. So all you got to do is come here. It's kind of like your watering hole for liquidity and all your assets, right? You get to basically discover these L1s, access these L1s, and use these L1s in an elegant, all-in-one user interface. And this basically allows interactions with these L1s upon the Avalanche consensus model, which is obviously blazingly fast. Core does all the heavy lifting for you. So as you can see on this screenshot right here, right, we have a seamless moving of assets from the C chain to Lamina 1, and we had the CEO of Lamina 1 speak yesterday as well on a panel. That's just a little bit of a primer on what we're doing. But let's take this a step further, right? Core makes engaging with the Avalanche ecosystem easier and more efficient by reducing onboarding friction. So earlier this year, we partnered with the Web2 giant, Stripe, to integrate with their payment rails. And they're having a lot of adoption with crypto as well. You saw recently that stablecoins have gained product market fit. And we're seeing how folks just want to move and get liquidity on their own blockchains. So on this screenshot, you see how a user can simply put their destination chain, which is a Beam L1, click their token of choice, right? And without having to worry about anything, they just select their provider, and boom, in 2 clicks, they have 400 Beam tokens on their Beam L1. All the technology, all the swapping and buying and bridging behind the scenes has all been abstracted. I see a few smiles there with the Halliday team, so we're excited to work with you guys on it. And Core abstracts this, right? Because as the end user, the users have been craving for this. They want to just enable their use case. And Core plays a key part in the growth of this ecosystem. All right, the second thing I want to chat about is a multi-VM and a multi-chain universe. And bear with me here, because this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I think it's where the industry needs to move. So as the world of blockchains and wallets emerges, right, no single wallet will actually solve everyone's use cases. But single-purpose wallets will essentially become the hub of on-chain interactions and different VMs. For too long, the crypto UX has suffered because folks just want to do what's specific to their own chains, and they want to hoard the users, right? Existing wallets are too focused on what I call capture rather than consolidation. And Core here is today going to change that by going VM agnostic. Core will be the great unifier, the UN of crypto and chains. So new crypto innovation has often changed. So we will be supporting the EVM and the Bitcoin VM. We obviously were the first ones to do it by launching the Bitcoin and EVM bridge. But we also support our proprietary defensible differentiators like the HyperVM, the XVM, the PVM. But we will be supporting other VMs too, because the users don't really care, and we want to do what's best for the end user. So you'll support the Solana VM, the Move VM, custom VMs that you want to build on the Avalanche L1 ecosystem. And of course, all these will be interoperable via Core. So if you want to move your assets from Solana to Avalanche to Beam L1, you can do that all in one go in Core, hopefully in the very near future. And this is a key point I want to kind of drive home, right? that Core will be the browser of and the future of blockchains interactions, not for just a single chain, but for all these chains. All of them are welcome. Lastly, I want to leave with my third point and focus area that I want to chat about, which is doubling down on consumer experiences and real use cases. The first thing I want to chat about is gasless transactions. Now, crypto is complicated. When someone comes from the Web2 world, they're like, what the hell is gas? What does this even do? I don't even want, there's so many number of steps. Let's think about it, right? You need to sign up on an exchange, you need to log in, you need to create an account, you need to do KYC, then you need to buy a crypto, and yes, now you have USDC. Wow. You can't do anything with it until you move it to your self-custody wallet, then you gotta swap it, you gotta bridge it, you gotta move it to your chain. I mean, I'm having a headache just talking about it with you guys. So it's so many steps that basically Core is just gonna make interactions gasless. So the native gas token will already be available, and it's gonna be just an easy experience for you to be able to be on chain Y and pay on chain X, or be able to be on chain Z and sign a transaction on chain A. And of course, the fact that this is all built on the interoperability rails of ACM, and we're going to make sure that this happens very, very seamlessly. I do also want to drop a little bit of a teaser on what we're doing moving forward, which is payments. And without dropping a lot of alpha here, I'm going to say that very soon you'll be able to use Core in a very similar way to Apple Pay at different merchants, depending on the jurisdictions and geographies, to just pay with USDC and USDT and AVAX at different merchants, which we're obviously actively working on. So you will have a virtual card in Core that allows you to seamlessly interact and pay with different merchants. We're partnering with a bunch of stablecoins and Circle for this. All right, so with that said, I do want to call out how we want to build this unified experience, right? So we've spoken a little bit about the seamless onboarding and interoperability. We do want to talk about how we're going to provide access to all permissionless blockchains on Core. But of course, we want to make sure that DeFi, SocialFi, GameFi, marketplaces are all consolidating in one place. This is a consolidation game, right? We don't want to go to multiple different dApps, multiple different wallets, and have that fragmented experience all over again. And we're playing this game for the long run, right? In addition to that, of course, we will be able to have advanced tracking of your assets across all these chains. And despite there being multiple wallets today, there's no one wallet that really makes sure that we're providing what the user's been always craving for. Users want a one-stop shop and a unifier that I mentioned earlier. Core is here to change that. I'd like to end and conclude with one parting thought. Core was built for users to experience Avalanche and beyond, and Avalanche is best experienced with Core. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and download Core. Thank you, everyone. That's my time.